fairies, love, magic, and humans who can't read. Welcome to episode two of Mystic Scales and Fae Tales
And Faye Tales
podcast.
podcast.
Hi, Lee.
Welcome, everyone. Hi, Jen.
This is our second episode, and you can tell from my silly one-liner, this is going to be about a certain series that is very popular. Um,
Yes. Okay. So, and we're gonna try our very best to keep it to the one series because this is this is about ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, and the Sarah J. Maas world. Uh, we all know that there are technically three worlds, but we're gonna try to like keep this succinct and just be ACOTAR, just be those. It's technically our second series, and not verge off too much into Throne of Glass because we'll have a whole other episode about Throne of Glass.
yeah, and then Lee
Um,
hasn't read Crescent City yet, so that's also
Not
good.
yet. Yeah, yeah. But we're going to talk
Sadly.
about ACOTAR. We're going to talk about how we started this journey. It was really ACOTAR that started it all because we were going to read it. You signed up to help me read it. And then we started our book club. So we have our book club on Fable, which is SJM for first timers.
This is a great
And
time to mention that, which is on the link in our
yeah.
bio and our Instagram and our podcasts everywhere. They're the reason that we were inspired to start this podcast to begin with.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like Lee was saying. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, no, you're good. It was no, our dive into fantasy really. And um like you said a few times, you wanted to keep me from getting spoilers, which I'm very bad at. I like to know things.
You still looked it up even when
Uh
we were doing that.
well, because I just wanted to know things, but I'm doing better. I only spoiled one thing for Throne of Glass.
You did?
So yeah, remember the Maeve? You were like, that's a spoiler.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. That's so
I was
funny.
like,
Well,
oh,
that's
I
pretty
must
good to
not
only
have
get one
been.
spoiler.
Yeah.
Oh
I
shit.
mean, okay, so we listen to these books. So I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first one, but then we did the graphic audio and now we're doing the audiobook. So I think I have a tendency to like check out a little bit and I don't always go back. So if I have to look something up, I'm like, okay, because I was looking up and I've already done it. I already set us up into Throne of Glass. Um,
It's okay. It's
I
what we're
was
currently
looking
reading, so it's fine.
I was looking up her and the ring. Um, because when they got the ring, I was like, why do they just suddenly have this ring and it's not a big deal?
Yeah, it's like a plot, but
Um,
not a plot. It's like a subplot.
so anyways, I got ahead of myself, but they don't talk about that spoiler until book like four or five, so I had time to forget. So it's fine. So we started reading uh ACOTAR. I really didn't. I knew about it obviously because it's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
My cousin had read
It is
Throne of
adult fantasy
Glass.
too. I want to say that because
Yes,
Throne of Glass is young adult, ACOTAR is adult. It's their
right.
switchover. Just so everyone knows if they decide to read or know other people who want to read, like it is very adult.
Mhm. Oh, also this episode will be spoiler heavy.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Spoiler heavy for all of ACOTAR. We're gonna try to not do all of SJM universe, but ACOTAR for the most part.
yeah.
Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers.
Yeah. So I do feel kind of bad because I like there are plenty of people who have not read yet. But we have to talk spoilers. We have to talk about the whole thing. There's so much content and controversy and all the things that we have to dive into. So I will just say as an end to my introduction, I didn't know that the first one was like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And I felt like it was very fairy tale and like very fantasy when I started. And that's not what I was expecting. Um, but then overall, I think it's just kind of a fluffy
Oh.
series. Yeah, like it's not the nitty-gritty of other fantasy series. So, what do we want to talk about first? Like, do you have
Well, I'll tell
a
you my journey though too. So my journey with ACOTAR. Uh, I used to love it. Now I don't. I
And
think I love
okay,
certain aspects of it.
when did you read it first? Was that like
20,
2017, 2018?
no, I read it in 2021, I think.
Oh,
Whenever
okay.
we met, actually, at work that year.
Okay.
So I read it that year. It was actually the catalyst to why I'm here today because like I think I mentioned this in the intro episode. I was like an avid reader as a kid, and then like as like college and high school and college started, I kind of stopped reading. And then somebody at a job that me and Lee were working at actually suggested reading ACOTAR,
Oh, right,
and
right, right. Yeah.
that's why I got back into it, especially because I knew how much I loved Disney and it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And so I was like, okay, I'll start it. And then I
Hmm.
got hooked and I read all through them. And then from there, I read other series. Um, and yeah, so like that's why I'm like, I appreciated what it did for me in terms of that. But then as I've like read other things and also like gone back
Hmm.
and just like, because you know, sometimes you read something, you're like, oh my God, I love the characters. And you're like really immersed in
Hmm.
it. But then like you sit back with it and you're like, did I actually like this
Yeah.
book? Like, did I
Yeah.
like this series? Or was it just like the hype of it? That happens with
Hmm.
movies with me all the time too. Like, I feel like for example, this is not the same. I'm not comparing the two, but just comparing the experience. Like when I watched Barbie, when Barbie came out, I watched it like 3 times. And I was like, oh my God, this movie's amazing. But like now looking back on it, it's still a good movie, but it's not as good as like I hyped it to be. But I think it was
Yeah.
because of that moment. Because I think with ACOTAR, because it got me back into reading, I was just like
Hmm.
really
And I think
appreciative
that's
of it.
special. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I think you have to give it that. And I think if that's what it is for people, like that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like in a way, she's done her job. And I can appreciate that. But it's also good that you have further critiques about it too, you know?
Yeah, because it's not perfect. And I think also I critiqued it while I was reading it, but then I was just really excited. And then as we've gone into this reread, then I've critiqued it even more. And
Yeah.
especially reading Throne of Glass and then rereading Throne of Glass and seeing her writing. And I've read Kristen Sitting, seeing her writing style change from book to book and rereading it and being like, wow, I could probably pick apart all of this so much. Like it's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And we also love to talk about the publishing like minutia of things, the editing and the marketing even, and like what are people like missing out on with her or like just kind of doing a disservice, I think, just because she's so popular. But again,
But that's
that's
the
a whole other
question. Like,
conversation.
is
Yeah.
it the editors doing her disservice or is it her doing herself a disservice? Because when you become this famous, it's is it just she's so famous so like they can't edit her down, like it's her way or the highway, or is it
Well, yeah.
the opposite? They
Yeah.
want as many
I
words from her
don't,
as possible to make it longer because they know people will buy the book. So like the last Kristen
right.
City book is huge. Like it's like ginormous of a book. It's so heavy on top of that, which makes it more expensive and you know people are going to buy it. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
or it could be both. It could be all of it too. And
Yeah.
we see that
Yeah.
throughout, but it even from then from Throne of Glass to Crescent City, she reuses, I mean, we'll go into this more, but just as an example, like her language is reused a lot. And I was just like, this is
Right.
something that she should have caught as an author, that it's
Right.
not working.
Yeah. I actually, I embarrassingly enough, I've been rereading some of my own works and I have reused character names and like things like that. And I'm so mad at myself. I'm like, no, we cannot do this. Like, I don't have anything published. That's the dream. But I was like, I can't have an Aunt B and then your sister's name is B. Like, no, it's one or the other. So you're
I mean,
right.
like
She
that's
should
not
be
as
catching
bad in terms
this.
of name, but like there's things that she does where like I've said it multiple times in our group in our book club. Like she will use the term a phantom wind, like
Mhm.
nobody's business, and everything,
Mhm.
any sentence, and toes curling.
Curled in
She'll
her
use that one.
boots.
And her boots she'll
The
use smile like
what
an
is
adder. Like 1500, and
mhm.
I'm just like, girl, get a thesaurus, get a little more creative. Like, come on. Like, you need to get
Yeah.
something different in terms of your describing
Yeah.
because it just takes you away. Like, it takes me out of it as a reader.
Yeah. I was actually describing and this is Throne of Glass, so sorry again, but she'll say the same thing in three sentences all
Yes,
together. So she'll be like, lies. She lied. The lie was this. And I'm like, you don't need to say all of that. Like, I
agree.
get that that's your style and it's like a staccato of it, but like, no, this is that's not good. So those
And
are
she'll
some
repeat the same
thoughts.
things in different ways.
Mhm.
Like, specifically with the book Tower of Dawn. Again, sorry, Throne of Glass, but there's so many of those chapters that are the same chapter as a previous chapter. And I'll be
Yeah.
like, I literally pointed out as we're reading it, I'd be like, didn't she just say that this person went to this place or this person or something about like something small and minute that you don't really care about. She'll say it like three times, but not as a story device. Like it's just repetitive at this point. Like she's does that
Right.
so much. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is your first series, and then like now ACOTAR and then Crescent City.
Mm-hmm.
It's and in Crescent City you'll see that I think the writing gets progressively worse because then it starts
Mm.
to, she kind of like tangents and then she also like focuses on characters that don't need focusing on. And then you're just like, what is happening? Like, why are we with this character for this long? Like nothing moves the
Yeah.
story. And that's,
Yeah.
I think, the thing with ACOTAR to bring it all back. A lot doesn't happen. A lot happens, but a lot doesn't happen.
Yes. I remember that being one of your comments in like the end of the series in our book club. You're like, so much happened, but actually nothing
Nothing happened.
happened and nobody died. Um,
Yeah. That's my biggest reason, is that nothing happens. And it's just like, that's why I said when you were saying like fluff, it's like, yeah, it's kind of just like a romance novel with fantasy to me. I don't think
yeah.
I've read much more developed romantasy in that actual category than this was, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Which
Yeah.
is insane because
And
with Throne of Glass, the jump,
right,
like the
right.
Throne of Glass had way more storytelling, even though there is critiques on that and the storyline of that, I think. But like the jump of having so much happen in one series to the next, it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like if the first one hadn't been a retelling, like it wouldn't have been as captivating. And I
Hmm.
th like the second and the third are almost interchangeable to me because I don't like truly know what happened. Like they go to war, um,
And no one dies.
and no one
The
dies.
second is supposed to be a
Uh,
retelling of Hades and Persephone as well.
oh, okay. I mean, sure. And we had thoughts about uh, we have so many thoughts about these characters. Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking about the good characters that she has, but how and the good writing potential she has, but
Hmm.
I think that she sends them away, that she kind of shafts them. So like my specifics are Lucian, because
Mm.
he's probably my favorite character. And I think she like he's got a crazy history.
He could have
His
been the main character.
right. But she has sent him into the human world and just kind of like we don't know what's going on there. And then another one, and this is debatable on whether she's a good character, but just someone who has potential is more,
Ugh, I hate her character.
because
Yes.
she has also been sent away. And I, do you want to talk about her? Do you want to dive right into that? Or
Yeah. I want to preference. I want to dive into this conversation. We've texted a lot about this, and I want to preference all of our SJM conversations with. There's a lot of controversy with SJM and her writing and her stories, and I couldn't agree more with a lot of it. Like I said, I think when I first read it, I was just so excited to get back into reading, and then going into your second reading, like I did catch a lot of it to begin with. So some of the controversies that you'll see on Book Talk, people break it down, and there are creators who break it down so elegantly as well. Um, that the one that I resonated with the most when I reread it. So everyone who's listening, obviously you don't know what I look like, or if you've never seen me. I am Puerto Rican. I'm a person of color, and I identify as well as a lesbian. So love my queer folk. And reading the ACOTAR series, I definitely was annoyed, I guess I would say, because of the way that she treats people of color in it, and it I'll just say this, when Lee and I talked about it, I always tell her it reminds me of the CW, and I've said that to other
Mhm.
people. So the CW network, again, I watch a lot of TV and film, so I often refer to it, but like when they were in their prime with like Vampire Diaries and other shows, like they did this a lot, and I love Vampire Diaries. Like I'm literally wearing a Vampire Diaries sweatshirt as we're recording right now. Like I love Vampire Diaries so much. But they did the same thing where they would have their person of color either like only helping the main white characters progress in their story, and then they have to go through so much like pain and trials that the other characters don't have to, specifically with the character Bonnie in Vampire Diaries. And then when they have queer characters, they are sideline characters that often die very quickly to help the
Mhm.
story, or are evil and then die, or like they're just not really there. And
Right.
that's how for me SJM has always come across. Like, um, there
Well,
was a
I
creator
was
I sent you. Go ahead.
just thinking about it right now because the first person we meet who's a person of color, I mean, I guess you do have to say Lucian, right? Because he's mixed, but you don't know that.
But you don't know that, and they don't
Um,
portray him as that either.
no. Um, does Alice count? Like her skin is tree bark, but
Yeah.
we don't know that again because Feyre doesn't have like Fey vision, so she
Yeah.
can't see that. Um, and then like there's Tarquin, but
I think
again, we
it's
don't,
only Tarquin, the Summer Court, and Helion
yeah, and we don't meet them.
and
I
Amryn.
guess I, yeah, but we don't meet them in the first book.
No,
So
not really. She might have
very,
seen them when she was under the mountain, but not really.
yeah, but they're right. There's no, and even like the inner circle is not
Mm-mm.
like the one creator you sent was just like there's just these hot white people, which like
Literally.
we all know that like the Fae, that is what they're supposed to be. Like they are the hot people. Um, but it yeah, it's an interesting critique.
Yeah, and I think with the
And
like the lack of representation in ACOTAR for people of color is just insane. And then when we get there, it's there was a creator. I think it was this creator, Critter XD, or maybe it was the Cactus. There wasn't a creator I will find and I will tag them that mentioned like the people of color in Avatar specifically, which is Tarquin and Helion, and how they're described as like these overly sexualized
mhm.
and like they're not really their stories are sidelined and you just like, I don't know, you felt that when reading it. And then that's why I was just like, when I, want to look up images, you want to see yourself in the story. And it's like a story that you can't because the author
Yeah.
doesn't imagine it that way. And then also with the queer representation, that's what bothered me. That's why I don't like Moore's character. Because when I was reading it, and you're like, oh, why is she sidelining Asriel for 500 years? Like all this stuff. And that for it
Mm,
to be that she's just like, I'm gay and I don't want to tell anyone. It's just like, what? For
right,
500 years? Like
right.
like it
But then
I just
she'll like give her like lovers or like girlfriends, and it very much does read as like, look, like I put it in here,
yeah,
like she's happy, like she found someone, and it's like, but
it's not.
it's not real. It's not like the rest of them who get their mate, you
Hmm.
know?
And also like
And
they made it really weird with her whole like Eris story too.
right, which we still don't have an answer on. And I'm like, how long are you going to extend this plot point where we
Hmm.
don't know the truth? And we're starting to think that like maybe Eris isn't so bad.
And maybe she's evil. So it's like, is
But
the only queer character you
right,
have in your book just evil because she's getting a revenge plot because she's like can't be with the person she wants to be with? Like that's
right.
bullshit. Like that's bullshit. That's a bullshit writing.
And
I
like
hate that.
I wanted to point this out to you after the creator who talked about the Irish hate,
Oh yes.
and he talks about Morrigan being a Celtic goddess.
That
And
creator, just so you guys know, is um I think it's the Cactus. I have it open right here.
I just pulled it up. Hold on.
Yeah, Razor Blade Cactus is their TikTok name. Again, we'll tag everyone. They talk about, which is multiple people talk about how this story was essentially mirrored as England and Ireland, and the hate for Ireland is very much shown in her writing. And
Mhm,
Hybern represents Ireland, and Peranth represents England. But anyway, go
mhm.
ahead.
Um, but one of the big theories, like in the fandom, is that Mor is not who she says she is, and that she's going to be evil. And if she's named after this Celtic goddess, I was just kind of like, oh, well, that's just feeding into that now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do think that she could be evil. I wouldn't be mad about that. But again, from a story perspective, I don't think it makes any sense because like how would she have lied to Reese for 500 years? Like, and that's another
Hmm.
thing that we always have trouble with is this timeline. These people
Yes.
have their grudges that they hold for 490 years, and it's just like, what are you doing?
Why? Why? Why can't you have a conversation? I don't understand. Like I
Oh my
don't
God.
understand. So
Yeah.
all that to say, like we recognize and we hear all the controversies and we agree with a lot of them. Definitely like if you have time, like look it up on TikTok, look it up online.
Yeah,
Like there's
be aware.
a lot to
Yeah,
dive into with her writing, who she is as an author, and us not supporting a lot of what she's doing. Um, and this is where that conversation comes into play of like, when do you start separating art and the artist, and how much do you hold them accountable for it? It's a
sure.
conversation that I think people have constantly with J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter, for example.
Hmm.
And I don't know if I would compare the two in ACOTAR and Harry Potter. Wait, let me ask you. How do you feel on the separation between art and artist? Like when does that come into play? When does it not? Like
I mean,
I don't know.
I think it's always important to separate them. Um, like for me, it kind of stems like just from being a writer, like when you write something and they tell you to write what you know, right? But you have to be able to separate that like whatever my characters are doing are not necessarily my experience. Like that isn't
Hmm.
physically me. Like say I'm Sarah J. Maas. She's not Feyre, you know, like and you have to be able to put that apart. But I do think there is like a lot of influence that does go like from the author's perspective, um, and their lived experience. So you can't always separate it. But I do think that there's gotta be a healthy balance. I don't know
Hmm.
if that's the right term for it. Uh, And I like not to really talk about Harry Potter, but I think that is the perfect example is like we, the people who love those stories and those characters, are not supporting what she supports. And we
Hmm.
can actually recognize in her writing when it gets a little twisted and you're like, that's not what we think.
Yeah,
I was thinking
agreed.
when I was thinking about more last night, I was thinking about how it's kind of similar to JK when she just kind of dropped that Dumbledore is gay. She was just like, "Oh yeah,
Mm,
he's gay," and we were like, "Okay." So I had a, like a similar thought.
that's a great
Uh,
comparison, Dumbledore and more, honestly.
it's unfortunate.
No, it is.
Um, because I think we get attached to these characters and you want more from them. And at the end of the day, they're not ours in the sense that we don't write them. Like, sure, you can write a fanfic or whatever, or you can change it in your own mind, and that's fine. Like, I support that. But the author and the editors, they decide what gets put out.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's what's important. It's like as she keeps writing, I hope that she hears the critique and the criticism coming and the editors hear that. And
yeah.
to have more on the team to fix going
Hmm.
forward.
Hmm.
And I agree with you in everything they're saying. Like there when I was in college, I went to school for acting and costume design. There was a professor in my dramaturgy class who said like all art is political. Whether or not you intend it to be or not, it is. And
Hmm.
you you saying it's not political is a political statement in itself. So,
Hmm.
like, no matter what you do, art is political regardless. Your biases come through in your writing, even if,
Hmm.
but the important thing is how much of an actor, sorry, as a writer and an artist in general, is that if you to notice it, to catch it if your biases come through and to fix it. And that's
Hmm.
what also the editors, like, that's also their jobs as well.
Yeah. And like
So,
that's your beta readers, like anyone who has seen a draft, like they should be telling you, like, hey, maybe this isn't working, or like maybe we rethink this character or this plot point. And
mhm,
so yes, I do think that like those things can get missed, or like say you have a very biased like group of people working with you, like it's not gonna change. So you should have like a diverse group.
yeah.
Um, but I think. there's always going to be that. And I think the world continues to like grow and learn. And I do hope that she does in the next book, in the next series, whatever she decides
Especially
to
as
do.
she's continues, yeah, because she's continuing ACOTAR. She's
Hmm.
all of the books are connected with all series, and I don't know. I heard once that she's doing another series as well, or there's a because she had like a Pinterest board about gods and stuff. They were like, oh, she's
Oh,
doing another
right.
series about gods. Like I
Which she
hope that
could.
that comes through, like in the future, especially just for how big she is and how much of a wide spread she has.
Right.
She's still a top seller. She sells millions of books every year. To like really think about that and to hear from
Right.
the groups that are speaking up about it because it's so important. So all this to say, like
Yeah.
we just wanted to preference that in all of our conversations of this, that we recognize it and we agree with a lot of it. Um,
Hmm. And like
and
encourage all of you to seek out information about it, be, educated about it just as you're going to read her. Like don't go in with a blind eye kind of thing.
hmm
Um,
and that goes for every book. Like critique it,
yeah.
like fantasy or not. Like especially fantasy, in my opinion, I think fantasy is like one of the most political genres. Honestly, it can be. Like when you go into to reading any book, fantasy, mystery, whatever, like always look at it from another perspective too. Go
Hmm.
into it, enjoy it, and then also critique it because art should be
Hmm.
critiqued, and that's the point.
Hmm.
And it should be
Yeah.
enjoyed and appreciated,
Yeah.
and conversations should be had just like this one.
They definitely should. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is
Okay,
a
so
safe
that
space for everyone.
yes,
All
yes,
listeners,
please.
all commenters, a safe space, and we created for that. So yeah, let's get
Yes.
into the menu. Now that we talked about SJM as total and all of ACOTAR and series, let's get into specifically this series, A Quarter Throne of Roses. Um, as we've mentioned, if you don't know already, there are four books in the series with one novella with
Hmm.
another book planned, which apparently should be the next book that she is publishing as well. Um, and then after that, there is Crescent City. Before the series, there was Throne of Glass. And this is not, I mean, this is kind of like a known spoiler to the world now. There is a crossover between ACOTAR and Crescent City in the third Crescent City book. Like specifically, like characters from ACOTAR are in that book. Um, so yeah, it's all world building, and if you go back all the way to Throne of Glass, there are connections to Akhtar and Crescent City before she even wrote those books. So all that to say, A Quarter Throne of Roses is our beginning one. It is in a nice pink cover that they are apparently now doing all of them in black, which looks disgusting in my opinion.
Yes. Oh my God. So I actually saw a video today that was a guy saying, I think that they did it to attract the male reader because so many people are
Oh,
like having their boyfriends read the books. And so if it's like a black, just kind of matte, nothing special book, they'll be more inclined to pick it up rather than something that's like
that is so
bright
dumb, but I guess
green or
true.
like has, characters. I know, I just thought it was really interesting. I mean, they're kind of reading it anyways. Like I
Yeah,
love seeing the posts that are like the male reaction to things. I mean,
that's
or
so
even like
funny.
your girlfriend's reaction to what you were reading when you
Oh
were
my God, a fourth
listening.
ring. Yes. When we were listening to Iron Flame together, and my girlfriend doesn't really listen to books at all. Um, and she was listening to it with me though. And mind you, she'd never read Fourth Wing, just came into Iron Flame, and it was spicy, and she was like, "This is what you listen to?" She was like, "I had no idea this is what you're reading." I was like, "Yeah,
That,
yeah,
that's
this is
just
it."
kind of our that's yeah, a look into fantasy. So, um,
So
but
ACOTAR
yeah.
though, what? Let's start with the first book. So the first book, Feyre getting
Hmm.
kidnapped, Tamlin,
Hmm.
Lucian. Who is, what was your takeaway from this book, first off? And who was your favorite character and your least favorite character?
Great questions. Okay, so this book, I kind of mentioned it surprised me because I didn't know it was a retelling. I also I was very much on Tamlin's side for a lot of the book, which I think is a typical reaction.
Yeah, it is.
Um, but I also just kind of felt like the introduction of Reese was a little weak, and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. like normally we're like, okay, this is our shadow daddy, like we're ready to flip sides, like we say like the blonde doesn't get the girl kind of thing. And
So sad. I hate that trope.
I know, but I was like, I was not feeling that when he's first introduced. And it wasn't until like the end where I got even just a little bit curious about him. And even
Hmm.
like in the second one, when he shows up to like save her, quote unquote, like I was like, I don't know. There was just something about it that didn't flow right,
Hmm.
or maybe it just felt too cookie cutter. Ah,
I agree with you because especially when we get to the last book, which is Nesta's book,
mhm,
I think getting another person's perspective of Reese really
mhm.
puts everything
Oh,
in
yeah.
perspective of Reese as a
Yeah.
character. Like I'm not actually a fan of much of him. Like I think
Yeah.
that he's powerful and he's cool, but I think he like the way that Nesta sees him is kind of right. Like he is cocky. He is a little
Yeah.
like I need to be the hero, like in his head, like to a
Hmm.
fault.
Hmm.
And it has a
Right,
savior
because
complex. That's what it is, the savior complex. And I feel
yeah,
like
and
that's what he I feel like that is him.
and that's what we like liked about him at first, right? Because it was the big he gives Feyre the choice.
Yeah.
Tamlin didn't give her the choice. So you see him in this like light that you're like, oh wow, like that's something that like a woman needs in a way. I know
Quote
that sounds
unquote.
weird saying that, but just comparatively. But then like the further you go along in this series, you see like actually how kind of controlling he gets. I think one of the points that stood out to me was actually in the bonus chapter, like
Mm.
Asriel's bonus chapter
Oh my God, yes.
we're like, okay, all kinds of problems with that chapter. But like from the Reese perspective, he's just like, no, you can't. And it's like, well, I know you're the High Lord, but like, who are you to like say that to your one of your best friends
Mm-hmm.
who's been struggling for 500
500
years?
years and he finally has a new love
Like,
interest, but you tell him no because it's Feyre's sister.
sister, yeah, I like that was odd. Um, I
I
did
guess
like
is it because Feyre's sister or is it because like she has a maid already? It might be that too.
I think it's a little of both. I think you could also probably spin it like he's looking out for Az, like he's not gonna get the girl kind of thing. But I just like the way that it was handled, um, I just it was too like manipulative and like I didn't enjoy that. I did, however, get like the heartstrings pulled, the whole not the pregnancy trope, but like the pregnancy like scene and the way that like Reese and Nesta
Oh, oh,
finally
oh.
understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how like I do hate that it was because they were dying that that had to
Mm-hmm.
happen. But yeah, I
Because like
think
ACOTAR as a whole, it shows you that none of the characters know how to talk to each other.
it's very true. Yeah. I loved my post uh in our in our book club. I said in the first one, I was like, "Will Tamlin and Feyre like ever have a real conversation, or will one of them just keep storming out?" Like,
Oh my God, can we talk about that? Tamlin and Feyre's relationship. Because I honestly like I understand so much of Tamlin because of the fact that we're getting Feyre's perspective, because she also is at fault so much. It bothers me when people only see Tamlin as like the villain and like he was terrible to her and
mhm.
he abused her and things. Granted, he did do things and
Right.
he's not perfect. He did abuse her. He did do things to her, but at the same time, Feyre had so many faults as her own too, and they were just
Mhm.
young and dumb on top of that.
Mm.
And I sympathized with her, and I liked the writing of the abuse, as someone who has been through abuse that like the sh making her believe in a way that like maybe she couldn't speak up because she's like she knows that like he's just doing it for her own good and those
Sure.
thought parts like she didn't want to speak up she didn't want to go against him because she knows that everything he's doing is from love and that can
Right.
be true, but also not true because he is manipulating her and he is putting her aside and he is seeing her as an item, as a thing, rather than a
Mm-hmm.
person. And then he is
Mm-hmm.
then physically trapping her. So like there's
Mm-hmm.
that. But at the same time, even before that happened, you could see it in the first book, before they get into this really toxic relationship as it's forming, they don't communicate with each other. And
They
she
don't.
does not communicate with him on her feelings. And she falls into this, oh, someone protecting me, someone's gonna save me as well, without really getting to know him. And I
Right.
don't think he really gets to know her either.
Yeah. Which was also like, I think one issue I had with the book, I was like, suddenly she's in love with him. And I was like, I don't. And coming from a character who was like fighting for her life to like save her family, do awful things, and then
Hmm.
suddenly she's just like mooning over this man. I didn't
It was
get it.
weird. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, not to bring up the Hunger Games for the 15th millionth time, but it's like as if you were studying Hunger Games and you saw Katniss who's fighting for her life to protect her family, and all of a sudden she meets, I don't know, Gail or Peeta, and then suddenly she's just like, all right, I'm good. Like you'd be like, what? What?
Literally. Yeah. No, I was gonna say like Tamlin and Feyre are like if Peeta and Katniss like had gone wrong, like
Yeah.
they're forced together. There's like a trauma bond, but it doesn't work. Feyre's kind of your Gale, so
Yes.
we could
Yes, because
talk
she
in
doesn't know how to
circles about
communicate.
her.
Like, I'm just like, Feyre, like, you don't know how to communicate. She's so young, which is great. But then, like, what ends up happening is that, like, she's just like all or nothing with stuff. And I
Hmm.
get that that's how her and Reese work in that way because he's also that way for some reason after 500 years of living. And she doesn't know like I okay, we can talk about this now too. I'm think I'm just word bombing now, but like the pregnancy trope is
Yeah.
terrible. The fact that they were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we want to live our lives together. We want to wait for like we want to wait a long time before we have kids. Like let's enjoy this life." And the next thing and it's so hard to get pregnant and the next thing you know Faye
Right.
was pregnant. Like,
Right.
come on. I just don't think she's a strong female. She starts as a strong female character with this
Hmm.
like fighting for her family and doing everything, and then it just
Hmm.
like kind of goes downhill. And then like she
Hmm.
becomes like gossipy, and she like becomes like I'm gonna like
Oh my
listen to
God.
people's
Right
conversations.
when she goes
And it just is
into, is it
weird.
Lucian's mind?
She goes
And
into
it's
Lucian's
like,
mind,
girl, what are you doing?
literally.
Um, and then like I also thought like her becoming the High Lady was, and them just kind of accepting it was a little bit of a reach
I think so too.
because this girl, she's been Fae for a year and a half, like, and alive for only like 20 years. Like, come on. Like, all
And
of you
like
are
her
smarter than that.
self-sacrificing makes her qualified enough to be a leader of people she doesn't know that well.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of this Disney film called Aladdin. And how every time I watch Aladdin and I watch the Broadway show at the end, I'm like, so like, why does Aladdin qualify to like run a whole government? Like, I don't understand.
Because he's a
Maybe like
thief.
being a part of it, but like, I think Jasmine should just be the Sultan, not both of them.
Oh, oh my God.
Um,
In the show, what always gets me is when he brings his friends to be the advisors. They know nothing.
I'm like, isn't this a government? Isn't this like a body of people you're governing over? Like your children right now. That's what it reminds me of, though. That's truly what
Yeah.
it reminds me of. Like Feyre has so
Yeah.
much more to learn and so much more to experience, and I just would have appreciated her more being like, I'd rather just be your consort. I'd rather just
Hmm.
learn, and then let's get to that eventually. Like, let me learn your people. Let me learn like about this culture. Let me get assimilated into the society and see how I can also help make it better. Because she does have like, granted, she does have a great perspective in terms of like someone who was in poverty and knowing
Yeah.
what those people would need and how to help in that.
Hmm.
And that's great.
Hmm.
So like let her learn that though with your society too at first and how she can improve and she's still learning her powers on top of that too. So it
Right.
just like it's odd. It's odd. And it's like a character I appreciated that, like Harry, for example, Harry Potter, again.
Mm.
He goes through all these things. He's still a kid, whatever. In the end, he doesn't
Mhm.
like become the headmaster of Hogwarts.
Right.
You know?
Or, yeah, the Minister of Magic or anything
Yeah,
like that. He's not in charge.
exactly.
I
Exactly.
think that's a point that makes this series more of, again, just to say, fluffy. Like it's not very deep. It's not, and I don't think it's supposed to be, but it would be better if it
If it was.
was.
Again, because you're reading Throne of Glass, where it is, it's very
Right,
confusing.
right.
Oh my God, I feel
Yeah.
like we're being so negative though. What do we like about this?
Okay, what do we
Like
like about this?
I do say I will like I agree with you. I love Lucian. Like I love that character, and I've seen people say like in the first books like they weren't even rooting for Tamlin, they were rooting for Lucian and Feyre,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
was
you
just
remember
like,
you
that's
asked me, you're
crazy.
like, so who's your favorite, Tamlin or Lucian? And I was like, I think I want to say Lucian, but he's kind of being, not a
Right.
nice guy. Um, but I think that he just has depth and
He
is one of the
does.
rare characters that does. And we also like, what's his name? Cassius?
Cassian?
The, no, the Winter Lord.
Oh, Callias? No, Callias.
Callius? Sure.
I think it's
We really
Callias.
liked him. So
We
yeah,
love the Winter Court. The Winter Court is our favorite.
when she opens it up to other people, other characters, I think that's very interesting. Um, I
Yeah,
think we
Kallias.
Yeah,
Callias?
Callius.
Okay.
I think we both like A Court of Silver Flames because of the character development, which a lot of people just like it for the spice. Um, But like that's where we see Nesta grow, that's where we see Cassian grow, that's where we get Gwen and Emery. And basically whittle it down to you don't have Feyre. Um, and you
Exactly.
have a
Well,
better
that's a great point
story.
because I think Silver Flames reminds me the most of Throne of Glass without the plot
Mhm.
because that's the main critique of Silver Flame is that the plot of Silver Flame isn't really there and it's not the
Mhm.
best and clearly maybe she's setting up for more, who knows? And like she changes her perspective in terms of like maybe Nesta should have been the main character of the series
Yeah, yeah,
because
we've
of the
talked
depth
about
she
that.
has. And
Yeah.
and it's that character development we see for Cassian like you said, all of these characters, like that's what we needed in the first three books with the other characters.
And I think we see it with Amryn some more. Um, Probably just because you get a little more of her history. But she develops like a relationship with the Summer Court and she develops a relationship with Nesta. I was a little annoyed at their falling out because I didn't think that that was handled very well.
Oh
But
yeah.
it just felt like, again, like SJM just kept going around in circles. Like they're not friends anymore. And you're like, why? Um, But yeah, I think Amarin was a little more fleshed out. Um, but like Nesta is a difficult character, and for most of the books you don't like her because of
Mm-hmm.
that. And then once you get in her head and in her experience, um, like I love the moment when she and Cassian like break down about each other to each other and she
Yes.
says that she made it her own punishment not to be together. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, girl, like you've been through so much to then do that to yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wow. Um, so it's like moments like that that really like save things for me,
Mm-hmm.
and would make me want to talk about it or like come back to it and that kind of thing. Um,
Yeah, like that's the only book I feel like I'd want to revisit is that book.
yeah, yeah. I
Like let
mean,
me ask you that too. Like if what if that was the start of the series?
oh my God, that would be a roller coaster, just a jumping off point.
Yeah.
Uh, and I would like, yeah, I would keep going. I would want more of that dynamic. Um, Not this setup to have Elaine do whatever stupid thing she's gonna do in the garden or the kitchen. Um,
Oh my God. That
but
could be a
yeah,
Hades and Persephone story instead, because the garden and the
yeah,
death.
and the Sun Court. Um, but No, I think that would have been interesting to do kind of a flip because then if you had gotten Feyre's story later, maybe she wouldn't have had to be kidnapped by Tamlin. She could have just met Reese in a different way.
Yeah.
Um, I do think it's like, in a way, it's a cozy read. You know, you get to know these characters, you get to know the inner circle, and you enjoy spending time with them. Um,
Yeah, the relationship they all have with each other is very endearing, and you do
mhm.
feel like you said, like a warm blanket with them, like cozy with
Mhm.
them.
Yeah, especially because like they've gone through a lot. Like each of them has had their own trauma and struggles, and that they have each other is very nice
You're
this
wearing a
book.
Bat Boy shirt. Let's get into that. You're
I
wearing a Bat Boy shirt.
I am
So
wearing a
cute.
Bat Boys shirt. I
Who is your favorite Bat Boy and why?
my Bat Boy is Cassian. Um, as we've gone on this journey, I've discovered that I kind of love the big, dumb, endearing guy. Uh, I don't know, I just get like the warm and fuzzies when I read about them. The new one is Lorcan and Throne of Glass, which we could talk about too. But there's just something about them that like I think they get put into a box. And like for Cassian, say he's supposed to be like the fierce general, like the hard ass who, just messes around, but like there's more going on in his head and his heart. And I think with Nesta and having that like come out, you just kind of root for him. He's like a big teddy bear. Um, Whereas like on the flip side, like Lucian has the crazy backstory and the you
Hmm.
just want to know more and you want the best for him. But yeah, Cassian is my boy. I also have to say this pillow, it does say Starlight, but it
I was
is
gonna ask about
not.
this.
I just realized it is not a
Don't
Valaris
don't you see
reference.
the starlight?
It
Starlight.
is a
That's what
Taylor
it says for.
Swift reference.
Oh, okay, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
But it made it. It's also red, so it's not blue. Um,
That's so funny.
yeah.
Yeah, I would
And
say my
I
favorite
also
Bat Boy as well is Cassian. Like, especially I think I would before say it was Asriel, but once we read that bonus chapter, which if you haven't read the
yeah,
bonus chapter, like please go read it. Like
yeah.
Asriel's like kind of a dick. Like,
He's he's it's weird. I liked as because I liked that he was withdrawn. I liked his like shadows and just kind of like what is going on there? Like I often relate
hmm
to the person who is the introvert or the one who like doesn't really get much screen time, if you will. But yeah, the bonus chapter was weird.
hmm
And I just don't think he gets fully developed by the end of it. He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
And like you do want the best for him. And like when Gwen comes around, you're like, oh, okay.
Ugh, I
Like,
love Gwen. That's another thing. I love the extra characters in Silver Flame.
yeah, like she did a good job. And it was so nice to like have like Nesta have that, like
Yes.
her own inner circle, that isn't
Yeah.
her sister's. And I think like understanding the Illyrian like way of life. And like I remember like reading about Emery and being like, I don't understand her wings and they've been
Mm.
clipped and like what does this mean? So like getting to learn more about and she's a POC character.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah. Forgot about her.
that's
Yeah, yeah.
that's a good thing.
As a series, what is your rating? And we'll do that first. What is your rating of the series?
I think I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Um,
Okay.
because I don't hate it. Like I enjoy it. I for what it is. Again, love the Bat Boys. Will always want to read about them. But I do take issue with things and I do think like creatively it could be better. So I don't want to give it a 5 and I don't want to quite give it a 4.
Yeah.
Just because I would like I want people to read it, but I want them to go into it like with a little like question or a little like I don't know, like have their thinking cap on.
Yeah. I think I would give it a 3 as well. I think it's gonna be like I think if we started reading fanfic, I think that'll be more interesting too. To like
Mm-hmm.
take these characters like Gwen and Emery and the Bat Boys and all these histories and other people develop from it. And like the idea is there, but it's just not fully executed. And
Mm-hmm.
especially it
Agreed.
is very disappointing going from reading Throne of Glass to then reading this one. Um, and in terms of the storytelling. But there are characters I love, like Lucian, and there's the exploration of Nesta's trauma and the way that she goes through punishing herself and getting through that and learning how to find herself, not through love, because even though Cassian's there, but she finds herself like with herself and finds herself
Mm-hmm.
with her friends and learning that
Mm-hmm.
like in mental health, like it's also about the people around you and who you surround yourself with and learning how to believe in yourself again and pick yourself up and not going through it alone because Anessa kept trying to put herself to be alone because she
Mm-hmm.
thought she was the horrible person in all of this. It's like, no, like everyone deserves love. Everyone deserves to get there. And that's probably why I love Nessa so much and I love the story of that because I connected to that book so much more than favorite story.
Yeah,
And so like maybe I would put that separately. Like I would rate the core series as like a 3 and maybe Nest as I would rate like 3.7, like closer to 4. Um,
sure.
just because of that. Like I think it was just a different development of the characters. Um, so yeah, that's my rating. That's my rating.
I like it. Yeah.
What is your theories for for the next?
Okay, so I do think it's gonna be about Elaine. Um, I do think Moore is gonna be bad. I think she's off doing something suspicious. Um, I think Eris is finally gonna be in charge of the Autumn Court. I
Okay.
think they're gonna have to kill Baron or something.
Okay.
Um, I don't really know what she's gonna do with Elaine and her mate. It's not gonna be Az. Um, Az might even go off on his own eventually. You know, he might just be a secret spy or something.
There's also
And
the Arison as fanfic.
oh yeah, I don't think Az would do that though.
No,
Like,
I don't think so. That'd be so
and
cool.
I again, that's a comment on her writing. Um, I don't think he would do that.
I used to want Az with Gwen, but after that first chapter, I don't want him anywhere near her. I want to
I
protect Gwen
think,
at all
well,
costs. All
yeah,
cost.
no, but I do think that's possible. Uh, and like it's weird, but like Feyre and Rhys are just gonna fade into the background. Like they're
Oh
not
my
gonna
God,
do
I know.
anything anymore, and it's kind of pathetic.
I
Um,
honestly think it would have been a better storyline if Reese did die.
I agree. I think the whole cauldron scene, like say goodbye to him, say goodbye to Amryn, like because then this next book becomes a whole different thing, right? We don't need them anymore. Like it's
Hmm.
Nesta and Elaine and all of them finding themselves without them.
Well, yes and no. So once you read Crescent City, you might think there's another plot coming because
Okay.
Crescent City, without spoiling it, essentially gives more background to like what happened before Reese and them.
Mm.
And because it's like a in there like it kind of depends on how Reese and them react from everything that happens in Crescent City. So it could make a whole nother thing, or it could not. It could go back to this like, which is what's the annoying thing is like she can go either way. It can make a whole other plot and a whole other story, and like okay,
Hmm.
all the characters need to be involved. This like crazy things can happen, or it could just be like, well, that was crazy. Can't believe we met that person. All right, back to the Lane story. Like it really could go either way.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, so then I don't know. In one of those series where you get to know all the characters and it's just nice to like come home to them. I
Hmm.
think that alone will be enough to read the next book, you know?
Yeah,
So I appreciate that.
I also agree. I think I honestly hope to see Lucian like I don't know, this whole mate thing is really bothering me. Like him and Elaine. Like I also question too, like um in Throne of Glass, to spoil Throne of Glass, sorry, Maeve does manipulate the mate bond with Rowan and Aelin. And I'm like,
That's true.
what if like King of
That
Hybern also did
was
that with
mm,
Elaine and or the Cauldron? What if the Cauldron also did that? Manipulated
mm-hmm,
it for the story
mm-hmm.
for what was to happen? Because the Cauldron is all seeing.
That's
And
true.
the Cauldron. probably has its own motives and its own wants and things. And like, what if it didn't want to
Yeah.
be in the reins of Hybern and it wanted to do something else? So
Hmm.
it could have manipulated the bond in that for Elaine and Lucian to be together. And that
Yeah.
ends up maybe they're not. But I mean, will she be reusing the same plot point? Sure. She does it all the time though, so it's fine. Um,
Yes.
but
So
I
yeah, we
think
shouldn't
I
be
would rather see,
surprised.
yeah, I would rather see Lucian like I want like a whole story for him. I want to find out about I want him to find out about his parentage. I want him to
I
find out that
know.
he might be running the summer court and is he
That
gonna go
would
back
be
to Autumn?
amazing.
What's going to
Yeah.
happen with that? Like I would rather that whole like
Yeah.
series than this Elaine and him finding love. And honestly, I'm probably the minority in this. There are some people that think that Elaine should be with Tamlin. And
Oh, I have heard that.
I'm
That's
not
funny.
fully against that. Although I do think Tamlin should just have, I think it should be another character. Another character should come in and be with Tamlin. But I'm not against it.
Yeah, I think she's kind of screwed up Tamlin's character. Like, I don't think
Hmm.
she wrote him correctly. I'm not even gonna say well, I'm gonna say correctly. Um, so I don't know if bringing him back to be with someone we know is right.
Yeah.
But an interesting theory and
Yeah.
also kind of dumb. Like Elaine, just dumb, if that's the case,
I
but
would rather
whatever.
Elaine, like, I actually don't want her love story. I want her original plot of like she wanted to travel the continent. She
Mm,
wanted to travel the world. She wanted to get to know things. Like, I want that plot. I want these characters to
mhm.
like actually go out and experience the world like they've said they wanted to and like do it. Like,
Yeah,
I think Elaine should do that. I think Elaine, if she's gonna have a love story, it's gonna be like Bridgerton, where what's his
with
name, the
herself.
last season, where he went out and he traveled and then he came
Oh,
back and he wanted Penny.
sure.
Like sure. Like
Sure.
we could do that if you want a romance, but like Elaine needs to go experience things. And like she
Yeah.
defends herself in Silver Flames that people need to stop coddling her and thinking of her as
Uh-huh.
like a broken doll. She needs to also think of herself that way too. We need to prove yourself to
Yeah.
the audience that you also don't think of yourself that way. And
Yeah. I
also, is she
think
still an Oracle? Question mark.
right, we don't know. No, I think that's a good outlook to have. That's a good theory to be like, hey, let's not just like pigeonhole ourselves into this romance thing. I like that. I support
Yeah,
that.
I
Well,
think we've
we've
done
had
it.
so many thoughts. We did it.
We did it. Yeah, I mean, there's so much more to talk about the series. Like, we know that for sure. But this is like our overall, just like mind jumping of ACOTAR, and I'm sure it'll come up in
Yeah.
our future conversations of SJM with Crescent City and Throne of Glass. But we hope
Mhm.
you all enjoyed this. Make sure to
Yes.
check out our book clubs.
SGM for first timers and Fourth Wing for first timers.
Hmm.
On Fable. Please, please,
And our
please.
SJM one, when we finish Crescent City, will just become like all fantasy, and all of the books in that will align with our podcast right here that we're going to talk about,
Episodes.
which we probably will be able to align it with Crescent City, which is pretty cool.
Ask us any questions. If you have different thoughts about ACOTAR, please enlighten us. We'd love to chat about it, have a
Please,
new
we love to chat.
perspective. Um, and yeah, thanks for
And
tuning in.
thank you for tuning in. Thank you all for the support you've given us in this podcast so far. We really appreciate everyone's love and support and shout outs and reposting. All of it means a lot. We
Yeah.
see it all. We appreciate it all. And we're going to just keep going. We're going to keep talking about other books, not just SJM. We're going to talk about other books we read, like Powerless and Light Lark and other fantasy series we've gone into, and holiday reads and like fun, cozy romances that Lee has gotten me to read, and all these really cute exciting reads that we're not only gonna I promise we're not only gonna critically critique where it's all I felt like a lot of this was
No.
negative in ACOTAR, but it's because we
I
have mixed
know,
opinions.
I feel a little
But with
bad,
other
but
series like you saw with our drive with Hunger Games, like there are series we love and we'll definitely go back to Hunger Games for sure, so stay tuned for all that's gonna come.
yes, thank you so much. We're so excited to just keep reading and keep sharing with you all.
Yeah, until next time, guys.
Thank you so much. We are Mystic Scales and Fey
Oh,
Tales
thank you, we
podcast.
are Mystic Scales and Fae Tales podcast. Till next time.